Greetings, it's Brene Bradley again. It's Motivational Monday. Let me tell you, I was so tired. I have been running around all day today, but I didn't want to miss Motivational Monday, so I came in. I knew exactly what I wanted to talk about because we're in a series called Radiant Skin After 50, and we had 3 videos that talked about 3 of the 4 stages of a good, healthy skin routine. We talked about cleansing, we talked about moisturizing, and we talked about treatments last week. This time we're going to talk about protecting the skin, probably the most important part of your skincare routine. But before we get into that, do me a favor, like, share, subscribe, follow, all those things. It just helps get the word out. I'm really just trying to support women and encourage and enlighten and inform other sisters. So just share the good news. Anyway, so if you want to know about those other steps, you can just look at the other videos. But today we're going to talk about skin protection. And I have done a lot of research on this. Again, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a clinician. I'm not a licensed esthetician. I'm a health coach. But I do a lot of research on things. And all of my research, every single article that I read, every video from a dermatologist that I viewed, talked about the most important thing to prevent the aging of skin and all of those things that happen, or to minimize them, is one thing. Our number one enemy, public enemy number one. You might be able to guess what that is, but I'm just going to come right out and tell you. It's the sun. It's the UV rays from the sun attack our skin, dry it out, and just cause it to age and look unhealthy. Lines and wrinkles, dull skin. Now, we talked about exfoliation and skin turnover and skin cell turnover, and all of that is great. You got to do those things, but we cannot get away from the sun. So we have to address that. So there are basically 2 ways that the sun attacks us, and we need something called a sunscreen to protect us from that. Now, I know that many people of color, many African American people, think that we don't really have the sun as an issue. We have melanin in our skin that protects us from the skin, and to a degree it does, but it cannot protect us from the dangers of the sun, and it cannot protect us from aging due to the sun. So there's 2 things that we have to consider when we look at sunscreen. One is the long-term effects of just being in the sun all of our lives. The other is a short-term effect that sun may have. If it's a hot day and we're out and we're doing some activity, we're at the beach or we're in our gardens or whatever, and we really don't realize that the sun it's too hot to be in, and you get a sunburn. So I like to look at it like this. So one, the sunburn quick in a day, that's kind of like a quick fry. So, if you're going to make some chicken, you're just going to fry it, put it in frying pan right quick, boom, it gets done, you ready, you go ahead and eat. That's one thing. The slow, long-term effect is what I would call like in the slow cooker. So in the slow cooker, it's going to take hours and hours, but it's still going to cook that meat. And you think about it like this. Yes, we have cell turnover, and yes, we do all those other things for our skin. But when you put the meat in the oven or in the frying pan, it's not just the outside that gets cooked. It gets cooked all the way through. So sunscreen is really the only thing that can protect us against that. So there's 2 things I want you to remember in terms of sunscreen protection. One is what's called the SPF. That's the sun protection factor. That's where we see that number it'll say SPF 30 or SPF 45 or SPF 50. So that is the amount of protection that you have against the sun. So you want to make sure that you use a sunscreen that has at least 30. And if you're going to be out in the sun all the time, you can go up as high as, actually you can go up to 70, I think is the highest I've seen. But the research says that there's very little difference between a 30 and like a 50. So you want to make sure that you look for that SPF number on your sunscreen. The other words you want to remember are broad spectrum. And what broad spectrum means is it covers both kinds of rays of the sun. It covers what they call the UVA ray, That's A as in apple. And that's the long-term effect of the sun. The other is the UVB rays. That's the quick and dirty, burn you up right quick kind of sun. So you want broad spectrum SPF at least 30. So there's two other things. I keep saying two, but there's two other things I want you to consider when you get your sunscreen. Number one is you can put any kind of sunscreen on your body. That is what I said, broad spectrum, SPF 30, 45, whatever. But if you are a woman of color or a person of color, because everybody needs to protect their skin, you really need a sunscreen that is formulated for skin of color. Because if you don't, it puts this, normally the everyday kind of sunscreens, they put this white cast on your skin, and it's kind of like you put some baby powder or something on your skin, and it doesn't go away. It doesn't fade out. It doesn't blend in. It just doesn't work for our skin. So you want to get a sunscreen that is formulated for skin of color. I use Black Girl Sunscreen. It's 45 SPF, and that's what I use when I'm going to be in the sun a lot. When I'm not going to be in the sun a lot, I use my moisturizer has SPF 30 broad spectrum in it. So just on any normal day, and I'm not going to be out in the sun a lot, I just count on my moisturizer that also has a sunscreen in it to protect my skin. They say that you should reapply your sunscreen every 2 hours if you're going to be in that intense, crazy, hot Atlanta sun. And you want to make sure that you keep it on. If you get it in the water, if you go to the beach, if you go to a pool, it's going to wash off unless you get waterproof. You want to just make sure that you protect your skin. So remember, the last of our 4 steps, cleanse, moisturize, treat, and protect, is your sunscreen. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you have a great Monday. I hope you were motivated. See you next time.